video games are for nerds. But that doesn't mean we can't talk about them. That's why you're listening to The Week in Gaming, the only gaming podcast that breaks down the last 7 days and tears games apart from the inside. Ugh. So forget your worries, open your ears, and join Simon Miller and a co-host for the entertainment chatter you need. Also, screw Dark Souls.
Hello and welcome to The Week in Gaming, your weekly gaming podcast fix with me, Simon Miller, and as always, my one and only man, Sam. How you doing today, Sam?
Yeah, doing good, doing good. It's very dark in the UK. Like we said, the nights are getting longer and creeping into the day, and it's kind of sad, but it's just more time to be inside gaming. So exactly. I'm fine with that.
It's the time for games. It's when all the games come out. Red Dead Redemption 2 came along, beat everything up with a stick. Everybody else ran away, and that's what it's all about. If you don't know, The Week in Gaming drops every Monday. You'll be asking yourself why it's a Tuesday, because I was away yesterday, and it also wasn't today because my camera has broken. So at the moment I have no way to record myself, but I'll fix it out. But we thought we'd get one done anyway. We're still in that Red Dead Redemption 2 lull. Everybody's still talking about it. The initial hype has died down because, of course, it has. But people are still loving it. Although I'm seeing a lot more, the more of the what the hell is this articles are coming out. I think universally everyone's, convinced it's a masterpiece in the sense of what they've achieved. But that kind of, what I call the Breath of the Wild effect is starting to happen, where people sit down and play it and go, wow, this is not what I was expecting in any...
It seems like the initial wave of, if you think this is bad at all, then you're the worst human being, is over. And then people are taking steps back and be like, okay, I don't really appreciate this side, and this bit is maybe a bit too like this, and this is curious for this reason. And it's nice to see, I think. It's just not, the hype train is great. It's nice to see sort of a few different, fresh viewpoints.
Well, I think so, just because I do think it's a wonderful video game. I really do, as we talked about last week. You're better off going to that episode if you haven't really listened. We get into it deep there. But, it's one of those games that deserves to have those kind of conversations, because I think it is deliberately polarizing, as Rockstar have been wanting to do for many a year. Yeah. I don't think they want it to be a stereotypical niche video game. I think they want it to be discussed and chatted about, and I don't think they want it to be overly criticised. I'm not saying that, but there are certain elements to it that I think will either, I'm not going to say they're going to shake video games up altogether, but will certainly give a lot of other people that are creating open worlds ideas. And I'd also say, look, if you are creating an open world and you want to kind of focus the experience, I think a whole new niche is going to open up for you there, because no one's doing that. Obviously, Breath of the Wild didn't do it. From what I know, Assassin's Creed doesn't do it that much. No. The idea of an open world where you can still just jump from, almost like map point to map point is dead. Which, isn't it weird? And game's so weird that happens. And I'm still enjoying Red Dead. I think it's a really good video game. But there is a lot of downtime in that when I'm confused about whether or not I'm enjoying myself or not.
Yeah, I think it's just a lot of from what I've still not really dived into it, but a lot of people are just sort of I'm not enjoying the start, the grind, the slow, deliberate pace that much. And those people are sort of coming out of the woodwork, less afraid to speak, maybe. Yeah,
and there should be. I think that's the great debate to have with that. The other, talking about Zelda as well, a few reports came out this week that apparently Nintendo is now expanding their clientele, because they are obviously they're working on the new Zelda game, but it sounds like now they're going into sort of right time to make it into a thing. Yeah. And I secretly hope it's another 3DS game. It will not be, for the record. And I'm also secretly hoping that we can kind of do what Call of Duty does, where every 2 years we get a different version of Zelda, because I don't want Breath of the Wild 2. I have a feeling we're getting Breath of the Wild 2. I don't think I'm going to get what I want in this regard.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
But we'll see. But yeah, I mean... I got a few people getting in touch, and I think most people that talked about Red Dead with me just started playing it, so they were wowed by the graphics, the atmosphere, the aura, just how good the characters look, and all the little things you can do. But as you play more, please do get in touch with me at Simon316, Sam's at Sam Bishop 3Ps and 1, and let us know. Yeah, just let us know what you think about it. I'm sure there is someone out there who is Breath of the Wilding right now going, well, I can tell this is amazing, but I cannot penetrate the outer armor. You're not meant to. It doesn't even matter anyway. They had the second week sales come out. I think it had the biggest second week of any game this year. So yep. I don't think we need to worry about Red Dead Redemption too much. Something we may have to worry about, and I'm going to defer to Sam a little bit on this one, because I know the headlines, because people kept tweeting me about it. But because I was away, about and away this week, I don't know everything. But it certainly seems like Blizzard, the company that rarely steps a foot wrong. I mean, they're quite good with their... their community is very passionate, so sometimes there's always going to be a bit of a backlash. But now it sounds like with this new Diablo mobile game, they have upset a lot of people. Now, Sam, I'm going to have to defer to you to tell me who the finger of blame should be pointed at here, because all due respect to video game fans, there are plenty of examples, Mass Effect 3, where people go crazy, and when you actually look into it, like, okay, I understand the argument here, but I think we could have calmed down a little bit, No Man's Sky. But the headline is, Blizzard said new Diablo's coming. Everyone thought it was Diablo 4, actually Diablo Mobile, and now it seems like they've ripped somebody else off, correct?
Yes, so there's a lot to say. I'll just try and keep it to the bare facts. So on Thursday or Friday, I think it was actually, Blizzard took to the stage at BlizzCon, and they ended with the announcement of Diablo Immortal, which is a mobile game. And at the same conference, they also had a panel where where someone asked, "Is it coming to PC?" And they said there's no plans to bring it to PC. Not a no, but there's no plans to bring it to PC right now. And the audience are booing and everything. And, that's just the start of the shitstorm, though, because on Reddit, everyone was like, this is a betrayal of the Diablo community. We want Diablo 4. People expected Diablo 4. And then some people, because it's being developed with a company called NetEase, which is a Chinese company. And they also make a game called Crusaders of Light, which is a mobile RPG. I played it just for reference. And, it's the usual what you'd expect from a mobile game. Not extremely polished. And, it's just what you'd expect, really. And it's got similar UI elements. So in terms of you have abilities around the attack button on the bottom right, and contextual button prompts pop up. But the way I see it is like there's only certain control schemes you can have for mobile RPGs anyway, and if you select the best one, then surely it's fine. It's no different to people using a controller for their game and using L2 and R2 to shoot and stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's more. There's so much more to say, but I've actually got my favourite message that I've seen that was shared in a tweet. This is from a Diablo fan. I am immensely disappointed. I feel like they abandoned the entire Diablo community. Nothing for us at all. I have actually been crying. I don't know what else to say.
No.
People hating it for the wrong reasons, then I don't know.
Crying?
Yeah, crying.
All right. Well, I'm not here to judge. I'm just okay. So they're basically just mad they didn't get a new Diablo game. That's it. That's the short version of it.
Yeah, people are saying they betrayed the community and not had Diablo 4 and this reskin. But I think a lot of it, people wanted to hate it as soon as they knew it was a mobile game, right? As soon as it wasn't Diablo 4, the way I see it,
yeah, you're right.
People are angry.
Yeah,
they're not saying I hate this game. They're saying I hate this game isn't Diablo 4 in a lot of sense. There are a lot of valid criticisms, which fair enough. A lot of people don't want it, but a lot of it is coming just out of sort of hatred for the fact that they've not got Diablo 4. I don't think it's a betrayal of the community. And also, you got to remember that this might be developed alongside Diablo 4. They've not said that this is, instead of Diablo 4, we're working on this, because that would have been a taking the piss. But yeah, it's just such hatred. I'm not really sure why it's so intense.
I think it's just because there are certain game franchises that trigger that, right? And I think Blizzard are one of them, right? They have very passionate fans. I don't like the word passionate. It kind of sounds like I'm making an excuse. I think that's too much. I think you need to get that mad at anybody for video game related stuff. And like you say, we don't know what else they're doing. I think the bigger issue is about whether this mobile game has been... what word can I use? If there is controversy around how the mobile game came to be, I think that's where the story and the focus is. Because, that does cause issues and potential problems down the line. I mean, what do you think that's going to come back to bite them in the ass?
It's hard to say. Like, there's already the hashtag #NotMyDiablo on all social media for this game, and it's just like the stocks have been damaged as well. I'm not sure whether it'll bite them in the ass because they're not exactly like, oh no, we're going to go under because people didn't like Diablo Immortal announcement. And yeah, I don't know. I could understand why Diablo fans are annoyed, though. I can see it for both sides of the coin, but I don't think it's going to do them any long-term damage,
Is it? I mean, I'm not saying stuff like this, but it is just a mobile game. And I know that sounds bad. I know that sounds really bad. I don't mean that in a disparaging way, but it's the truth. Do you know how much it costs on iOS or Android? Or
no, because there's no details. That's another thing, because a lot of people are just like, oh, they're going to monetize us so badly. They're going to use exploitative practices, and it's like, well, why don't you do innocent until proven guilty? We don't know anything about this game, and you're already complaining that they're ripping you off. You don't know if they're ripping you off. It might be paid.
Exactly.
So,
and a lot of people do that mobile model very well nowadays. They just do. Like, you know, I've played, like we just talked about this podcast loads of times over the last week. There are certain games out there that are free or, you know, monetized in a certain way. Like, you know what? I don't feel like you're exploiting me. I just feel like you've come up with a very good way to do this free-to-play model. Yeah, personally, I'd always rather pay a tenner or whatever and be done with it. It's just what I am. I'm old. You know, I'm old. So, but I don't. Again, I guess because they announced it at BlizzCon, right? And people assume at BlizzCon we expect AAA. And you're never going to get AAA on a mobile. Any mobile game that gets announced is always going to feel like a watered-down version before we even know, because that's how we still deem mobile games. Nobody releases their AAA, front of the pack top franchise game as a mobile game, do they? It just doesn't happen unless you're Angry Birds. But even then, Angry Birds came, it was massive, and it fell away. And the same with Clash of Clans or any of those things. They don't really have the tail that Xbox One or PS4 or PC games do.
Yeah.
So go on, man. There you go.
A lot of people have been saying that, like, well, Diablo 3, when it first came out, I didn't know this, but apparently Diablo 3, when it first came out, it encouraged you to use the auction house, and it was quite pay to win.
I remember that, yes. I remember that. That did seem bad.
Yeah, and like obviously mobile games are notorious for their monetization and stuff like that. But it's just, can you like complain about that when it happens? Like people are angry that they're getting monetized and they're getting exploited. It's like, we don't know that yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't understand it at all.
So do you think they've ripped off this Crusaders of Light game? And I'm just looking through it now.
NetEase are the same developer. Let me just check that Crusaders of Light is made by the same guys who are making it.
All right, so you just think they've reskinned an old video game then? Or you said,
yeah, they might have been like, oh, that really worked. That was really well received. I
don't necessarily think that's a bad thing either. I'm going to get heat for this because I don't know, actually. I don't want to say that's okay. I need to see what it is. But if you think you've got a good video game and Diablo's going to get it more, you know, shine a brighter light on it, because it will. Diablo's a much bigger name than Crusaders of Light, and the game is still good.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that is a bad thing. I mean, it would be different if Crusaders of Light cost you 50 quid and then they released the same game for 50 quid. Then I could see people being like, well, wait a minute, that's not fair. But then again, if it's the same game, you've already got Crusaders of Light. Oh, I don't know. The whole thing seems murky, horrible, and I'm glad I'm not a Blizzard fan.
And also, I've seen gameplay videos for Diablo Immortal, and it looks like Diablo. It's not like, oh, this looks like a mobile game. You know what I mean? Like this looks like Diablo as you'd expect. But if all they take it is a UI that works and is great and it's good for purpose, what's the problem with them taking the UI? Everyone's taken UI, surely, at this point. Nobody has a different layout for the health bar. Nobody has a different place for shooting football games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right.
Everyone uses the same elements, and unless you're really just actually reskinning it, which is a strong word because they're not just reskinning it. It's a Diablo game for mobile built from the ground up. I think a lot of it is just like, I think it just goes to show that a lot of outrage on the internet just is exaggerated, and I think you'll get more constructive if you give Blizzard feedback that's actually like not over dramatic, actually a bit more helpful, rather than just be like, this is a reskin, not my Diablo. I'll never play a Diablo game again. You know, that's not helpful for anyone.
That, I think, is always the problem. Again, I always use Mass Effect 3 as the example, or No Man's Sky as the example, because while there may have been valid criticisms within that, the fact that they got so enraged and people were, you know, so over the top, I just think it was too much. It was instantly, when you approach it that way, you're in the wrong, because you just are. Because as bad as you may think it is, and your money is important, you should protect your money, it is just video game related stuff. It's not life and death. I know that's bad, and I know that's somewhat disparaging. I'm not saying that, but it is always the way you respond. And, you know, take No Man's Sky. Yeah, you could probably argue that a lot they wanted to put in that game they weren't able to, and maybe they should have been held to task to a certain extent. But as soon as you start saying you're going to kill them, it's irrelevant. It's a video game. Who cares? Like, you know, they didn't do it on purpose. They weren't trying to piss you off. So
it's also about like giving them constructive feedback. Like if all Blizzard sees is, I hate this, I hate everything about this, it's just like, how do we know how to fix this? Because they just hate everything. But if you're like, actually, this looks fine, but probably Diablo 4 would have been better, and you know, these elements could have been good, like just tone it down a notch. And then, because the Blizzard seem like the type of developer that are just interested in what the fans want. You know what I mean? They don't seem like money grabbing shills. They seem like they genuinely care, and I sort of feel a bit sorry for them. They've received this heat for giving fans more Diablo at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like, they probably sat down and thought this would be a great way to And maybe I'm giving them too much credit here, but maybe they thought this would be a great way to expand the franchise and fill a hole between now and when we do release Diablo 4. We'll do it at BlizzCon, because I imagine Blizzard have the same kind of mindset as Rockstar with Blizzard. You know, we don't do E3, we do our own conference. And then for everyone to go, boo, you're a pile of shit.
Yeah.
Is, I mean, yeah, it's not ideal. I mean, again, I think you're 100% right. I think we can't do anything until we know what this game is. I don't think we can criticize it, because it may turn out to be absolutely amazing for all we know. It may be like, oh my gosh, what a great idea! It's really fair to the fans.
Yeah,
you know, everybody loves it. They've now come out and said it's going to be some kind of gateway into Diablo 4, so now you can start getting excited about that. There are so many things it could be that, yeah, I don't necessarily think that it's of any benefit to get too mad now. I think, as you said, we need to wait out and figure it out, because you don't know. Without all the information, how can you get so mad? I kind of, to a very, very small part of me, understand booing at a press conference. I mean, I would never boo at somebody else's press conference, but I get it in the sense that, yes, maybe you're so... It's reactionary, right? You think, well, that's not what I wanted. But even then, I think once we take a step back and let it process... Just let's see what happens. It's Diablo on mobile. It means we're getting bigger. We're expanding. The franchise is getting bigger. It's a new Diablo game. When was the last one? Years ago. So I don't know. I
just want to make it clear, like people can hate it but I just want people to hate it for the right reasons. You know, not just see this is a mobile game for Diablo. It's not Diablo 4. Just hate this. Fuck this. It's like, well, just give it a chance. Wait to hear what it has to say first, and then just form an opinion around that. Just because we have no details right now apart from a gameplay video and an announcement. So just cut Blizzard a break, really. Just tone it down a lot. Just stop crying. Actually, tears. Like, just let's just chill.
I agree. I think we need to wait and see. And I'm with you. If somebody does have a problem with this, I have no issue with that whatsoever. Of course, you're allowed to have an opinion. Of course, you're allowed to be like, the fuck? But, you know, tether it. You know, keep it within the realms of normality, because as soon as we spill out of that, instantly everyone's going to look at you and go, well, that was this guy's problem. That doesn't make any sense. And I do think that's really important, because let's say that you are right. You know, let's say you're 100% right and they have screwed up. Well, then you need to use your voice in a positive way to make sure that you do get what you want, for lack of a better term. And you ain't going to get that by saying, fuck Blizzard, they're ripping us off, and you know, being all reactionary. Just my opinion, just how I see it. But I will definitely have to do some digging into this now. Like I said, I missed all the headlines. I know there was hoopla because I kept getting messages about it. I did not realize it was this crazy.
Yeah, it is intense. Like, man, I've never seen the Blizzard community are usually very welcoming, very warm, because of all their games. They're very friendly to all people of all sort of walks of life. And then to see them erupt like this, which is crazy. I've never seen it like this before.
You tell me. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna look into it. There's a huge chance I'll probably do a video on it, because this stuff just triggers a very strange thing inside of me where I have to wind people up. I know it's weird, but you can check that all out at youtube.com/The Miller Report Rules. I don't know. It is strange, and I say this with all the respect in the world. And I'm sure there's somebody out there that doesn't fall into this category, but sometimes it surprises me the expectation of fans and what they believe should be happening to their video game.
Yeah.
Because we don't know. This could be the best thing that ever happens to that franchise before we know. Yeah, it's unlikely, but we don't know. We just don't know. And I've just looked at a website now, and it says apparently Blizzard are now also coming out saying they didn't actually ever plan to reveal Diablo 4. We didn't pull the announcement. That's just, again, see what's happened? The community is now stirring everything up, and we're losing sight of what's important. Anyway, that happens all the time. Happens all the time, and now we're doing another one. I also noticed as well, and I did see this in the week, that there's no... Warcraft 4 is not on the horizon for anybody that was still waiting for that. No real big surprise. As far as I'm aware, World of Warcraft still rakes it in to the point they ain't got to worry about anything for any time soon.
Yeah.
Was there anything else from BlizzCon? Anything else came out that we talk about?
Yeah, Warcraft 3 is being remastered.
I saw that as well,
Warcraft 4 isn't coming is because, well, Warcraft 3 has a dedicated community anyway already now, which is like over 10 years old. So all they really need to do is revamp that, and they're going to make some small tweaks. They don't need to make Warcraft 4, really. They don't need to make StarCraft with another StarCraft with all the money and all the esports that it's got. So yeah, unsurprising. But yeah, Warcraft 3 remastered. I'm not one of these people that like those games, but a lot of people do, and I think that's good for them.
I am not the good person to talk about this with, because when Microsoft revealed Gears of War, which were my favourite franchises, and at A3, and the first thing they showed was those Gears of War, what they called pop figures, Funko Pops. I loved it. I was more excited about the Funko Pops than I was about Gears of War 5. So I am not the person to talk to. I just seem to have the anti-opinion to everybody else. And also, I just don't... I like games. I really like games, and I owe games a lot in terms of my career, but I never get overly serious about them. I just don't. I just look at them. They're video games. You know, if Gears of War wants to become a real-time strategy game tomorrow, do I want that to happen? Absolutely not. But, you know, am I happy to, let Microsoft do whatever they want? Yeah, of course I am. You know, there's no problem whatsoever. Anyway, so there we go. No Warcraft 4. Diablo's coming to mobile. It could be just Crusaders of Light. Everybody's really mad about it. Before we get into the games we've been playing this week as well, other than the Red Dead stuff, obviously, the other thing I wanted to talk about, apparently next month, PUBG could be headed to PS4.
Yeah, that'd be good.
But it would be good, but are we not... Is it really... I mean, it just seems so strange to me. The timing of it seems bizarre, especially when... I don't know. I don't think Call of Duty give a shit what PUBG do at this stage, but I bet Battlefield does. You know, we talked about a lot on this podcast how the Battlefield Battle Royale man's not happening till March. If you've got to have another option on the PS4, does that not just water that down even more?
Yeah, it's bizarre, because surely if you're a third, like I'm a third-person Battle Royale fan, and I play with people on PS4, my choice was Fortnite, and I am that audience now. But then I wanted first-person, and now I've got Blackout. And I don't like it's. I will try PUBG, sure, but from what I've heard of the technical state of it, I'm not sure it can compete with either of those. Obviously, we'll have to see, because it's got a lot of polish at its time on Xbox and PC. But yeah, bizarre. Surely it would have come out before Blackout, ideally. Obviously, you can't just magic up a port. But yeah, very strange timing, like you say.
I just don't get it. And I don't know what it ties into. I know Microsoft had some kind of deal, but again, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know I've never looked into it, so I don't know. But I was surprised when that, popped up as a news story. I was like, really? Now, after everything else, surely this is the time. I don't know. Anyway, so if you like Battle Royale games, you're about to be sport for choice on Xbox One, PS4, Switch. You're going to be able to choose thousands of them, and they'll run them into the ground, and it'll be this generation's rhythm action games, and we'll never talk about it again. Well, we will talk about it again. Actually, I think Fortnite's going away anywhere soon. I think Fortnite could be more of a Call of Duty. I think they may just dig their heels in and manage to. Although I will say, did you see? I won't name the paper because I can't remember. I'll see if I can find it when we're talking. Did you see the just awful article on Fortnite that came out this week or late last week?
You get to narrow that down. I've seen a lot of awful articles on Fortnite in my time.
Just making shit up. Like, they were talking about how it's all microtransaction and you have to pay to win, and it's like, this is stuff.
What?
Yeah, I'm not going to name it because it was a big Telegraph. I said Telegraph. I wasn't saying Telegraph. That was a mistake. It was a big newspaper though, like the Telegraph, but to iterate, probably not the Telegraph because I can't remember. But I did read it, and it was just full of inconsistencies. I will say it was like one the Daily Mirror did a few months ago, which I actually had to go write something on my Twitter, which I never do. I usually stay away from that. But even as someone that had only been playing Fortnite for like a day, I was like, this isn't true. This isn't how Fortnite works. So I find it crazy how that there's still that kind of just backwards logic when it comes to those kind of games, and people are still.
It just comes back to like Diablo, right? If you're gonna hate something, hate it for the right reasons, and don't just come in like, well, it's just poisoning the kids, isn't it? It's just like, well. Like, come in and get a constructive reason for your hate, because vilifying Fortnite isn't going to do anyone any good, because it's here to stay. The kids aren't going to be like, oh, mum hates it, so I'm not going to play anymore. Like, just be more constructive with it.
I think that could actually help as well. Then we may actually start to clean up some of the problems we do have in video games, apart from ones that we make up.
I'm sure a lot of people hated Minecraft when it was first around, and now we're using it in schools and using it for very positive reasons. So.
Yeah. And it's also kind of ditched that, I don't know what you call it, we used to have a stigma about it, didn't it? It's just a stupid game for kids, it's a waste of time. But it's not actually. There's something here. It's actually quite a genius video game. So anyway, we need to talk about Minecraft. Right, let's talk about the games we've been playing. We'll start with you, Sam. You play a game called Zero Escape, which I know nothing about, as always. So, yeah, win me over. Win me over with Zero Escape, which as always, I will type in and reveal. I never revealed myself before these. I've just looked at it. It terrifies me straight away. Right? Sell me on it quick.
The full title is Zero Escape, 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors.
Yeah.
So 999.
Yeah.
It's the first in the Zero Escape series. And I don't know if you heard of a game I love called Danganronpa.
I know all about Danganronpa. I played Danganronpa for Trusted Reviews when I used to do videos for them.
Really?
And it was... I actually quite liked it, to be fair. I thought it was very, very...
Japanese.
It was very, very Japanese, but I thought some of the game ideas in it were really clever, and I actually thought they're probably games that some Western developers should look at to try and add new elements into theirs, because some of the stuff they come up with is so weird and wacky, and yet ties into the gameplay so smartly. I was like, you know what? That's really clever. Do you know what I mean? It's a really well-worked video game. I can understand why people play these.
Yeah. So that series and Zero Escape sort of held on the same in the same tier in terms of the best of the visual novel genre. And I've played Danganronpa to death, and I've played all those games, but I've never played Zero Escape. So I decided to play the first one on PS Vita because I was going on a few flights, and it was crazy. It was so good. It's different though. Like, it's not the same in terms of the approach. I think Danganronpa, you're just following a story, and the choices you make are sort of choices, but they're all at the same linear outcome. Whereas in Zero Escape, there is 6 endings, all of which are very different outcomes, and then you've got a true ending after all of that, which then reveals all of the story. And it's very different because it's not... In Danganronpa, you are participating in a killing game. The aim of the game was to force the entrants to kill each other. Whereas in this, the aim of the game is to escape, using the doors, the numbered doors, but it's people die along the way for separate reasons. So death is sort of circumstantial rather than sort of the point. And it's a really cool game. It's not school children like it is in all the Danganronpa games. It is adults, so it's a different flavour and it's a different take on the visual novel genre. But it's just as sort of weird and wonderful and disturbing, which is great. Which is why people play these killing games. You would play a killing game to have a bright, sparkly sunflowers. But no, it's really, really good. And if you like the genre and you like Danganronpa, it's definitely worth trying out. I'm not sure everyone who likes one will like the other, but they share a lot of the same overarching elements. And considering the directors of both series have moved on now and they have their own studio together, it's worth it as a point of reference alone, because that's sort of why I chose to play it now, just so I can go into the next game and then be like, oh, okay, cool, I can see where both games come from and what elements they're taking. So yeah, really good.
Well, there you go. So, but has that been out a while?
Yeah, it's been out a while on like DS, PC, PS4, PS Vita. So I'm just going back through because there's 3 of them. So yeah.
What are you playing it on?
PS Vita.
You just said that, yeah. Sorry, that was me being an idiot. Of course it'd be PS Vita. All those games are PS Vita. But nobody's got PS Vita anymore. Although, it did come out...
I love the PS Vita, low-key.
I just thought it was a good console. I just thought they marketed it terribly. They went after the Nintendo DS and 3DS too much, as opposed to just try and make it what it was. That information came out this week about what was the best-selling game on the PS Vita was Uncharted, whatever it was called.
The Golden Abyss.
Yeah, that was the best-selling game on PS Vita, which seems nuts to me. I don't know why.
I bet it was all the people like, I have to play more Uncharted, but I need a Vita for it. Let's get the Vita, and then played that and nothing else.
Yeah, the top 3 games were Uncharted Golden Abyss, Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified, which I didn't even know was a thing, Assassin's Creed Liberation, see above, Mortal Kombat 2011, say above, Little Big Planet, Need for Speed Most Wanted, Killzone Mercenary, Persona 4 Golden, which is crazy, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and Unit 13. What on earth was Unit 13?
I have no idea. I'm surprised I'm not surprised Danganronpa because it's quite Japanese facing, but still, Danganronpa, like, that was a great game for the Vita. So,
well, I never really had a Vita. It was one of those things where it just wasn't enough on it to get me involved.
No, I got it for a very cheap price because I just wanted the few games on it that I couldn't do elsewhere, because a lot of it may have been ported over since. So yeah, it probably wasn't worth getting new.
I remember I got the original PSP. I think there was a certain excitement about the original PSP because it did feel so different. It felt like you would be able to have sort of home console gaming in your hand. But I remember when I had it with the UMDs, whatever they were called, I was a bit like, it just doesn't... I think that was the first time I realized, I don't want this. It was around that same time when I started to think, I don't really feel like I need Microsoft to ever make a handheld console as well, because this is not what I want from my handheld experience. I mean, like you said, that even Zero, whatever it was called,
Zero Escape.
Zero Escape is not you know, it's almost been retrofitted for. Basically, I don't want to play a 50-hour RPG on my handheld device. That's kind of changed a little bit different with the Switch, but then again, that is a completely different mold to the PSP. I think now we know that, hence why Sony don't make handhelds anymore. I mean, the PS Vita is basically dead. I don't really talk about it anymore. I never hear anything about it, so there you go. But you can go do that. Sam knows all about those games, so yeah, if that sounds like it floats your boat, I would imagine he's got it 100% right. I wanted to talk about Outlast 2, which I realise is not a game of any new note. Well, neither was Zero Escape, actually, so we're just going old school today. I did a Halloween stream, because I promised my patrons that I would. Again, patreon.com/Summer316. It supports this content and all the content I do. And I said I would do it, and I looked about all the games I already had, and I was like, can I play Outlast 2? Have you ever played Outlast 2 or Outlast, Sam?
No, I've seen a lot of people play it for obvious reasons, because it's like the YouTuber's delight. And yeah, it seems a lot of jump scares, but I think that's just like the YouTuber perspective. It has a story, but I don't know much about the actual narratives of both of those games. Yeah,
to me, it's just, I played it and I thought, I don't like video games like this. It kind of, you know, it scares the crap out of me. Genuinely, I'm not built to play those games. I get absolutely, oh man, it kills me. But I was thinking, we don't really get any games like this anymore. It felt very old school to me. Very sort of, I can imagine it being on the PS2 or, you know, or something like that. Obviously, it looks nicer than that. And all the little ideas they've got with, you know, you run into cornfields and people jump out at you. And, you know, again, it is very jump scary. But I remember, you know, back in the day, that was a genre all of its own. And I was trying to think of sort of scary games that have come out recently. I can't think of any. And that seems strange to me. I get that Halloween was scared off. Everyone was scared off by Red Dead, and I don't think necessarily you have to release a scary game over the Halloween period. I know the Halloween movie came out and did quite well, but that was my big takeaway from it. Like, I think no one would be too surprised when they sat down to play it for what it is. It's not original, it's not unique, but it is very good at what it does. It's almost like, to me, I know Resident Evil 7 was very good, but it feels like, you know, the evolution of the Resident Evil idea that was planted in our brains back in the mid-90s. And it just seems crazy to me. I mean, Kojima obviously had his fingers on that for a little bit, but I don't think Death Stranding's going to head in that direction whatsoever. I don't think anybody, including Kojima, knows what that's all about. But I was just trying to think of other games that were coming out like it, and I was like, I don't really think there are. I know there's loads on PC. I know there's a load of independent developers making a load of horror games, but that doesn't really... I don't want to sound, people get mad at me when I say this, but I'm talking about the PS4, Xbox One crowd, the console crowd, because by and large, they are the more casual gamer. And I think the casual gamer is more primed to enjoy games like that. You know, things like, I've forgotten the name now. What the hell was that Choose Your Own Story horror game? You played the new you learned about the new version recently, and now I can't remember what the hell it was called, when you do the whole cabin in the woods thing.
Oh, Until Dawn.
Thank you, Until Dawn. Thanks, Brain. But a game like that, I imagine there's probably loads of games like that on the PC, on Steam especially, which is just full of stuff, but never actually break out. Whereas that, when something like that gets on something like the PS4, which it did, it does capture the attendance, the imagination of a big audience, because it's just different. And it shouldn't be different, because at one point they were, I don't know, I just thought it was really strange. I played it and thought, I'd played this game 1,000 times. It still does, you're in a school. It felt like it's like Condemned in many ways, which also scared the shit out of me. But I'm just surprised that it's a genre that, well, for me anyway, maybe I'm not the best person to talk about because I don't like them, so I deliberately stay away from them. But it did feel like a genre that has utterly, just died out, really. And I thought it was quite surprising.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of, like you say, indie horror games. A lot of people are not afraid to take that plunge and do stuff different. But AA and AAA horror games, you don't get that much of. We got Call of Cthulhu, which is more of a thriller, from what I gather. And then, like, Layers of Fear 2 has just been announced. And, other than that, you just sort of got a handful of, like, big budget, RPGs.
What would you go to if you were going to show
horror games? Sorry.
Well, yeah, I know what you mean. If you wanted to sit down and play a horror game, what would be your go-to one?
Silent Hill 2, probably.
Yeah, see?
The controls are the thing that let me down with that, and then Resident Evil like 7, 4, something like that.
Yeah, that's the thing. How old were them, right? I tell you what, Outlast 2 feels very inspired by something like Resident Evil 4. I think we forget how much that kind of came in and just changed everyone's perceptions.
Yeah.
And then, I think that's. It's absolutely crazy how... I mean, it doesn't play like Resident Evil 4, but there's just... Be it the theme of the story or, the atmosphere or, some of the gameplay stuff it gets you can feel Resident Evil 4 just dripping in it. In a good thing. In a good way.
And the great thing was Resident Evil 4 taught people that you don't have to move like shit to be a horror game. I mean, like Silent Hill 2 is so hard to replay, even though I love it, because it just the controls are the worst. Every game pre Resident Evil 4 feels like it's just made to treacle.
Yeah, I remember playing the Silent Hill HD collection. And my word, I mean, just trying to walk forward and backwards is the hardest thing in the world. To the point I stopped playing it. I mean, again, I'm too much of a wuss for those games anyway. But it just absolutely ruined me. And even more so when I can't even control the way the damn person works. But that kind of opens up a whole new conversation about itself. Like, Silent Hill proved with PT... And this ties into what I mean a minute ago. Like, it proved with PT that there was still an audience there. It was a great marketing ploy by Sony, which certainly helped. And I understand there was controversy in politics of Kojima and Del Toro leaving and stuff like that. But it seems nuts to me that Konami's answer was, we just won't do anything with it whatsoever. And we don't know what's happening with Resident Evil. I know they're doing the Resident Evil 2 remake, but again, it's a remake, right? There's just no new ideas coming to the forefront. Again, I'm not shitting on Outlast 2. I think Outlast 2 is great, apart from my own things I hate about those games. I actually thought it was very well developed video game, and I imagine Red Light Studios, whatever they're called, can release something else and absolutely smash it. But yeah, Dead Space, for example. Again, I know Dead Space 3 was an absolute disaster, but publishers like EA and mostly, obviously, Konami, because they have a huge property under their belt. It just seems nuts to me that you wouldn't want to try and capitalize that, especially on this time of year when people want to be scared, taking Red Dead 2 out of the equation.
Yeah, it's maybe it's people just not want to take the risk, because like if there was another Silent Hill, that would sell, you know what I mean? If there was another Resident Evil, that would sell. But it's just maybe people don't want to take the risk because it's hard to do a new idea with horror games, because you're really looking for jump scares and B atmosphere that we've all seen before, the haunted house, the asylum, the whatever. Maybe it's just the lack of new ideas and the lack of wanting to take a risk on new IPs in that territory. Because if you want to play a horror game, people you just need to look at Twitch and YouTube and Halloween. Like, you've got Outlast, you've got Resident Evil, you've got all those things like Amnesia, stuff like that. It seems like if you want to play them, they're already out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. No, you're right.
Depends what people want out of their horror as well. I don't think we're going to see another Silent Hill 2 for years, because I don't think people are going to put the budget behind making something that's subtle and atmospheric. Not saying that people are dumb, but like, it's more immediate results, right? You want things like spooks, jump scares, extreme, sales, bad. So...
You are right, though. I wonder how a horror game would even sell nowadays. Do we know what... I forgot the name. Until Dawn sold. Do we have Until Dawn sales? Do we know what it did? Did it do well? Because it was PlayStation 4 exclusive.
I don't know. I mean, they're making a new anthology series now, so it can't have done too badly. It wasn't like, let's never do that again. But, yeah, I'm not sure if it smashed it. I think it was a sleeper hit. A lot of people at the end of that year were just like, people don't seem to realise this is a really good game,
Yeah, the only headlines I can find is, surpassed expectations. I'm just surprised. Like I said, I know Outlast 2 came out last year, maybe the year before that. Like, it's not an old game by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, you look around for other games. I'm taking PC out of this. I know people are going to bombard me now, but Steam has this, Steam has that. Yeah, but not everybody wants to sit down and play Steam. Like, that's just, especially on those kinds of games. Like, that's just how I see it. But yeah, it's very, very good. If you want to go watch me freak out for an hour or so, it's up there on my YouTube channel.
How did you find it not as a horror spooky game, but just as in terms of its story? Because that's what I'm struggling with. Because I've got it, but I'm just like, can I be bothered to sit there through the jump scares if there's not much out of it, if you know what I mean?
Well, I think you've hit the nail on the head there as well. I think, and this is why, another reason I think I'd like to see horror games maybe try and evolve and push the boat out a bit. No, I don't think there is much there. I mean, it's essentially a game where you, like you say, you walk through different trigger points, which will have people jump out. The atmosphere is great. Like, I'm not saying every game has to be solid with gameplay, but yeah, the only things you're really doing are sneaking around, trying not to get caught, hiding under bed. There is a somewhat of a combat mechanic, but it's sort of light. I mean, the real the real twist is, can you get enough batteries? Because obviously it's got the camera mechanic, whereas sometimes you need to use the night vision mode so you can actually see, but you also have to record certain things in your viewfinder to capture it for evidence or whatever. Yeah. And that's basically the game. And it is for Outlast 2 and Outlast, I think it works really well. I think it's a really great way to make that feel unique and make it feel different. But you are only ever walking around triggering points. Sometimes you get killed, sometimes you won't get killed, and then you go to the next part. And yeah, there's not, in terms of a game, there's not that much there. but it gets away with it because of the atmosphere that it creates. And that's why I think horror games are so exciting, and hopefully someone's going to tap into more. Because few other games could do that. Few other games can get away with that much just because it manages to rely on its aura so much. Like, you wouldn't be able to do it with a shooter, you wouldn't be able to do it with an RPG, especially an RPG. You know, there's so many games you have to have a good interactive experience. And I don't necessarily think that's the case with, you know, Outlast 2, because all you're really doing is you're just walking forward. That's it. You're just walking forward, and yet somehow they make it work. I don't know. It's very, very strange. Very, very, very strange indeed.
Speaking of horror games, I have got another game I've been playing, which I totally forgot about. If we got time to mention that, because I've been playing, the Friday the 13th game that was released, I think last year.
Yes.
Yeah, that is a really, really interesting game. Like, it is rough. It is. You can tell bits of it that are a little bit budget, like the facial animations and the UI and stuff, and the server's pretty jank sometimes. But overall, that concept is really... I've never had a multiplayer game that spooks me in terms of... Because you put other people into it, it tends to take out the horror and a lot of elements. But this is genuinely a good experience, really great experience. And I hope it gets kept with and has an audience, and I can imagine it would be the best thing to have with 8 friends or whatever, just to have everyone in game chat, no one messing about, just a really tight horror experience, and really pleasantly surprised by that game.
Do you think we should have more of those? Because I remember somebody else came out, was it called Dead by Daylight? Yeah, Dead by Daylight.
I'm playing a lot of that as well.
Well, some people say that's better. Some people say that's the better game.
I think it's the better game, but it's not the better horror game.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I think you have a better time with Dead by Daylight, but you'd have better, I have more stories to tell, and I had more unique and diverse experience with Friday the 13th, the game. But it's more of an arcade game because you're doing the same objective each time, and, you just generators out each time with Dead by Daylight. But it's Friday the 13th, it's you could go there and then get the car battery, but we don't have all the batteries for the car, maybe we need to phone the police instead. And it's just, I think it's a lot better maps and things like that as well in Friday the 13th. Both of them are rough, which is a shame. Both of us are a bit rough around the edges and unpolished. But yeah, I think there should be more effort to try and do those multiplayer horror experiences, because if you do it intelligently and you do it not just spooks, you know what I mean? Because we've seen that. But if you do it like they've done here, really put you in a vulnerable place and make you work together and surprise you a lot, I think, it would be a really good genre to try and tap into, especially with names like Friday the 13th. You could have a Halloween one. You could have Dead by Daylight has already shown with its expansions, and really pleasantly surprised. I expected it to be a bit of a goof, a bit of a laugh, just I'm getting spooked. But it really I got the shock of my life yesterday playing it, because I don't know if you played it, but Jason could teleport at times.
Yeah.
So it's not just you're running away from a big lumbering dude. He can really startle you, and it's really good. I think, as a multiplayer horror game, which I don't think I've ever said before. A multiplayer horror game being really effective at what it's trying to do.
And the cool thing as well, obviously, not only is it technically co-op, I mean, it's not, but it is. If you kind of, you are trying to work together to survive to a certain extent. But obviously, one of you gets to play the serial killer as well.
Yeah.
So you can have both sides of the coin. You can be the person in fear, or you can be the person creating fear. And I just think that's a wonderful concept to have. I remember when it first came out, the servers were absolutely awful. That's why I actually stopped playing Friday the 13th. I was quite excited about it. Have they fixed that now? Or is it still impossible to get a game? Was it still difficult to get a game, I should say?
I had one problem, but I think it's because the killer's a host. I think someone told me that the killers are the host. So it's less people leaving when they die as the victims. I only had one disconnect, and I've been playing it for a few hours, so it seems to be great. It seems the connection seems to be fine, yeah. I
definitely think we should do more with that template. It even sounds good, doesn't it? One of you plays Jason, the other 4 of you have got to get away from him. You can work together if you want, or you can just, stay out on your own. That's
really clever mechanics. I've not actually played it because I was in a party at the time. But you get a walkie-talkie which allows you to talk to other players with the walkie-talkie in the map, and there's voice chat that you could get caught if you talk too loudly in the game, and that's an excellent mechanic, really good.
No, it really is. And like I say, the fact that Dead by Daylight came first, I was hoping it was going to kind of spark a turf war where everybody would try and jump into this, because Dead by Daylight was really, again, it had issues, like you said, but it was pretty well done, but it hasn't at all. It seems like these 2 games came along, struggled more than maybe everybody would have wanted them to, And then that's it. I mean, I haven't heard any news from either of them. I don't know if they're updating. I know, like I said, Dead by Daylight's had expansions and stuff, but I thought we would have heard more. But we've heard nothing.
Yeah, it's kind of good though that they could both compete with each other and then raise their own quality. That would be really good.
No, I'd like to see it. If you haven't played it and you like horror games, I'd absolutely go and play. Like I say, you get co-op experience, you get single player experience, you get to be the horror bringer, the horror. It's just amazing. It's just brilliant. It really, really is a good video game. And yeah, Sam's right. You should definitely go and... In fact, you put a lot of what I've said to shame there, actually, about Outlast 2, because that kind of is an evolution. That really is what people should be jumping on. Anyway, never mind. Obviously, I've mentioned just in passing that, yes, Diablo 3, the Eternal Collection, came out on Switch last week. Now that probably...
excited.
Well, that probably got even more of a kick up the ass than it would have done otherwise, all things considered. Overkill's The Walking Dead came out as well, and I've heard nothing. I've heard absolutely nothing, which I thought was surprising because there was one point where a lot of people were talking about that. I think it kind of ties into when The Walking Dead itself was far bigger than it is now. That's kind of fallen off. I think I've said that. I thought it came out. I guess it doesn't come out until consoles till February next year, and I guess coming out on Steam is always, again, it just does. It just means less of a buzz. But anyway, that is out on Steam if you want to go and play it. And obviously the next big thing we've got to look forward to is Hitman 2. Which comes out a week today. Yes, it is a week today. I was 100% correct. Good for you, Simon. I'm intrigued about that because I don't know anything. I obviously know what it's going to. I know what it's going to be, but they must have had something up their sleeve to jump on board with Square Enix. Square Enix must have saw something. I'm sure they shared sales data and whatnot. So they must have something new, and I'm going to be intrigued to see what it was because that original Hitman game, despite sales not as good as they were hoping, was really flipping good. And if you like Hitman, the best Hitman game they've made.
Is one of the best sandboxes I think I've ever seen. It's not for me, I don't think, so I'm quite impatient. I like linear experiences, but the amount of options just crazy, absolutely crazy. No,
it's just you could play Paris, which is the first level, for as long as you wanted. Really, I mean, obviously there is an infinite, it's not an infinite amount of things to do, but there are so many little things you won't believe. And I can only imagine that they've taken that idea, maybe they've refined it a bit because I'm sure they thought to themselves, well, we want to make sure that we do better than we did last time. But I hate the fact this already seems to be going under the radar because I absolutely think this should be massive, and I don't think it's going to be.
No, it's it's a shame.
I hope it is. And then obviously, same day is the Spyro trilogy, and we'll just let Sam talk about that for the whole episode, and then I'll just sit there with a big smile, with a big smile on my face. And the day after that, Fallout 76 comes out. Sam, you've got a lot of games to play over the next few weeks. It seems these are all your games.
Yeah, I'm so pumped. So hyped.
Are you still high on Fallout? You haven't changed your mind or anything?
Yeah, no, I haven't changed my mind. It's more like interested to see where it'll go, like just because I'll be playing it with friends, which will be a totally different experience to playing a game like that solo. So yeah, it'll be really good.
Someone asked me the other day, said, "You ever going to play it?" I was like, "Outlook not so good." I have no interest. I have no interest. It just doesn't excite me at all on any level. I know that makes me a bad person. I haven't even played it. I'm an asshole. But
to be fair, it's one of those games like whether you're gonna like it before you go in. If do you like survival elements? No, then probably not. Do you like Fallout? No, then probably not. Do you like, I don't know, Destiny, that sort of grind and rinse and repeat sort of gameplay that's in there? There's a lot of stuff in there that you could gauge for yourself whether you like. So yeah, I don't blame you.
Now, the one thing I wanted to mention as well, as I mentioned PUBG, I also wanted to say that, yes, soon, I think maybe as of today, you can go and play as the Joker or as Harley Quinn from 2016 Suicide Squad. So that's basically like a nice lift up, and then it smashes you back down because nobody liked that movie. But yeah, you could, I mean, I don't play PUBG, so I understand what skin is, but I don't really understand how it all comes together, but I'm sure the people that do will love playing as Jared Leto. And what many people think is the worst ever incarnation of the Joker. So that's good.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah. Oh, dear. All right, so that's pretty much everything that's been happening. The big thing has been Fortnite has been Blizzard and Diablo. Maybe we'll return to it. Like I say, this all came out yesterday that apparently they were going to announce Diablo 4 after the mobile game reveal. And then didn't. But then the question is, why wouldn't they? Like, I don't understand if you had that. Why would it be pulled at the last minute? What would be the reason? I don't want to step over old ground that we already have done. But even if you do decide, well, it's not quite ready to show off. After you get the booze, just go, look, run it anyway. Like, just play the damn thing. I don't underst it. What a strange situation.
Maybe they were like, fine, we won't show it then. Fine.
Well, maybe, but what a strange. Just, I don't know. And apparently, even. I mean, this is out of context, but apparently someone on the Diablo team, a game designer, said it's totally understandable. Or at least he said it's okay for people to be skeptical, but he hopes the mobile game will win over a lot of people over time.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to launch a mobile. Like, if you launched a mobile, I don't know. I can't think of a big series. But, a mobile Bioshock game, for example, people aren't going to be like, woo, you know what I mean? So I think they were prepared for something, maybe not of this scale, but you're never going to be like, everyone's going to love it. So I'm not sure they were totally surprised.
Yeah, bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. But there you go. It's called The Week in Gaming. That was The Week in Gaming. Yeah. Sam, you got anything else? I think we pretty much smashed everything out.
I think we got the big talking points.
We did. And that's how you stay up to date with your Week in Gaming, by listening to The Week in Gaming. It's as simple as that. You can go follow Sam on Twitter. I hope I get it right, at Sam Bishops 3P and a 1.
Yep.
Yes, that is basically SAMBISHOP. Can't spell top of my head, I've just realised. SAMBISHOPPP1. That's right, yes. I'm at Simon316, also on Instagram. This will go up at YouTube at some point as well. Usually save them for the weekends now, because that just seems to be the better way to do it. Then people listen to the audio first, which is the whole point. That's just youtube.com/, that's the Middle Report rules. On Patreon, patreon.com/Simon316. That's about it. Give us 5 stars on iTunes. Keep enjoying yourself. If you are a particularly passionate Diablo fan, get in touch and let us know. Maybe you think everyone's crazy. Maybe you actually agree with them. We all love to know that kind of stuff. And yeah, we'll be back next week. Should be Monday, but you never know. But it'll be some point earlier in the week. As long as you know it's coming, that's the main thing. We will talk to you again very soon.